Welcome to The Startup. I'm Rebecca Jarvis, and you saw them on CBS this morning, Saturday. We're continuing the conversation here with the fabulous co-founders of Fab.com, Jason Goldberg, Bradford, Shellhammer. Welcome again. Great to see you.
Thank you.
So I'm interested in where we left off, because we were talking a lot about how quickly your business is growing. And maybe for you, Jason, to think about this question, a lot of companies have faced this issue of they grow so quickly in the beginning. How do you, when you're dealing with customers, manage that growth and at the same time deliver on the promises that you set out to deliver on?
You know, it's a great question because, we basically said that we're going to pivot this business every single year. What I mean by that is that every year we reinvent and recreate and reimagine how do we do what we're doing even better. So if you put it in perspective, at the beginning of this year, we had about 2,000 products on Fab. Today we have 14,000. At the beginning of this year, we had 100 employees. We now have 600 employees. At the beginning of this year, it took about 15 days on average for the typical product to get to a Fab customer. Today, we're down to 3 days on average. And what we look at is how do we constantly, take the business further to give a customer a better experience.
Would you cut a part of your business if it was necessary to do that to make it a better customer experience?
I think we always put the customer first. And we have two sets of customers when it comes to Fab. We have the customers, the end customers who love our products, and we try to give them the best possible service and experience possible. And then we have the designers we work with, who for us, a big part of our business is supporting the design community, thousands and thousands of people who make stuff and helping them make a business, make their business better. And so, would we stop doing something in order to make the experience better for our designers or better for the end customer? Absolutely. I mean, you have to be constantly reevaluating and saying, what worked this year might be different than what works next year. Ultimately, it's about how do you provide a better experience for your customers. And we take the position that if the customer experience gets better, we'll figure out how to make lots of money over time. That comes secondary.
Bradford, you're shaking your head in agreement.
Yeah.
As the king of Quirk, I wonder, as the king of Quirk and the co-founder of Fab.com, what's the end game for you? Because you're so into the visual aspects, the curation aspects of the business.
I think what motivates me every day is these stories that Jason said. My customers are the designers whose products we sell. They're the people who I meet every day, and the letters I receive where they're saying, this year my business survived because of the sales on Fab.com. This year I was able to quit my day job and focus entirely on my love. This year I finally hired an assistant. I've made money to pay off my credit card debt. I mean, these are the stories that keep me going. I'm obsessed with people who make things. I'm obsessed with their stories, and I'm obsessed with the courage it takes to say, hey, I'm not going to have a typical 9 to 5. I'm going to risk kind of everything and follow my dream. Helping those people grow their businesses is such a rewarding experience.
How quickly do you know if you've gotten it wrong, if you chose the wrong product?
5 minutes after putting it on the site.
You
Yeah,
do.
The good thing is
and how do you know?
We rarely get it wrong.
You rarely do, but how do you know when you got it wrong?
I wouldn't even say sales is when it's when you see visually on the site and it's not relating to the other things. Everything talks. Great things talk to one another visually. And sometimes there's this odd man out, and it's like, and you can't pinpoint it. Sometimes it's too traditional. Sometimes it's too expensive. Sometimes it's too inexpensive. Sometimes it's too ubiquitous. But luckily, we haven't had that many instances because the world is full of really great people making really great things.
But we also do say, though, if we love the product, we will stand by it, and we'll keep putting on the site whether it sells or not. Because we do believe that there's, over time, that if you're committed to the products, people will take to it.
Without a doubt. And we've had instances where we have shown a product for the first time or even twice, and the reception wasn't great, but we believed in it. And then finally, as we built up trust with our consumer, the third time we've shown it is when they start buying it.
Interesting. So 3 times a charm. You took a huge risk in starting this business. Before starting it, you were already advertising Fab.com.
Yes.
What made you think of that?
When we started the business, we knew that we had to solve 3 things from the beginning before we even launched the website. Right? So the first was to build the technology, right? So to build this beautiful experience that people would say, this is great products on a great, great website with a great experience. The second was with Bradford and his team to get all the designers and all the product lined up. And once we had those 2 things, we're like, well, the last thing you want to do is open your store and not have anybody waiting in line. And so we said, let's learn how to crack the code on social media advertising before we even start. And it actually put us in position, 2 things. One is we launched with 175,000 members last year in June, who were basically banging on the door saying, let me get in, let me get in. And on day 1, we sold $65,000 worth of product. And that's a big first day. That's a big grand opening for any store. And
the trick is to keep them coming back and doing it over and over again.
But what we also did is we forced ourselves to learn how to acquire people through social media at an efficient pace before we even started selling. So, you know, it's one thing to acquire customers when you got something to sell to them. It's a whole other thing to acquire them when you got nothing for them, but to hope and a prayer that you might have something someday. So we learned a lot during that period, and it's been very successful since then.
What's the number one thing you learned?
Gosh, I just learned that, you know, if you believe that you can do it, that there's that force of will of just kind of sticking to it and making it happen. You know, we love what we do every day. We were made to do this, and you know, as someone who started several companies, I can't imagine ever doing another company again because this is it. It's my dream job.
This one's fab.
And that's, you know, we both feel that way. Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks for being on The Startup. Jason, Bradford, thanks. Fab.com, co-founders. And thank you for joining us on The Startup. Remember, if there's someone you'd like to see here, tweet us at Rebecca Jarvis, #TheStartup.